Hey YouTube, we are back again this week for another video portion of the Daly Dose Sports Podcast. Hope everyone out there is doing well. You know, you may have noticed that last week we did not do a Daly Dose YouTube video. We did another best of the Daly Dose, and right now we are actually explaining what has been happening here at the Daly Dose over the past few weeks. So let's jump into that right now. You know, I hope that you enjoyed our interview with a race car driver with my father, Bob Daly, this week on the Daly Dose. Wanted to play that interview for you again. You know, I have some news to pass along to Daly Dose listeners. My dad actually passed away very unexpectedly on June 24th. The funeral is actually this coming Friday, and that is why we did not do a show last week. It's been tough. Me and my dad were very close, and obviously my primary concern right now is making sure that my mom is okay going forward. You know, my dad was a tough guy. He boxed Golden Gloves. He actually made it to the finals here in Denver. And the guy that beat him went on to win the Nationals in Chicago. My dad taught me how to box probably starting at the age of like 3 or 4. My dad, as you just heard, was a race car driver. He drove midget cars. He drove sprint cars. He drove a little bit of stock cars. My dad ran the IMCA circuit. He ran the Big Car Racing Association circuit. He even participated a little bit in the USAC, United States Auto Club circuit. He was named Rookie of the Year in 1965. He was a consistent competitor with those clubs, running in places like Kansas, obviously Colorado, Missouri, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Nebraska, just kind of all over the Midwest. At Pikes Peak, which was a huge race at the time, he finished in the top 10 3 different times while going against some of the best competition in the country and even in the world. But you know, looking back, I was fortunate. I mean, my dad taught me how to kick a football. He taught me how to throw a baseball. My dad was a great example of how to treat other people because he was always so kind to others. He held me to some pretty high standards. He taught me the value of hard work. I called him after every big game, after big Bronco games or big Nugget games or just big games in general or a big race, and we would go over what had just happened. My dad was a huge fan of the Daly Dose. He would listen to the show every week. He would watch the YouTube videos. He was one of our biggest supporters, always encouraging me to keep going with the podcast. Keep going, keep working at it. And I won't lie, over the past couple weeks, it has crossed my mind, maybe I should stop doing the podcast. Maybe I should just go on and do other things. But I do know he would be really, really mad at me if I did that. And so I can't do that. Next week, we are going to try to get back to doing a regular show and bringing you kind of what you expect from the Daly Dose. We'll look at sports. We'll try to look at it with a sense of humor. Hopefully, be able to make you smile at least once or twice during your workday. I'm actually working on doing some different things this summer and going into football season, trying to work on a couple of different items that we're going to try to have for you here at the Daly Dose. I would just ask you, please keep sharing the show. I appreciate all the thoughts and prayers from you listeners. I thank you for listening to this show specifically, and I look forward to catching up on all that has been going on in the world of sports next week as we get back to doing a regular show. But I just kind of wanted you to know what has been going on with me, what has been going on with the Daly Dose, and why we haven't been doing new shows in the past couple weeks. Now you kind of know what has been going on. We are working through this and we are trying to get back to normal. Hey, I do want to say thank you to each and every one of you for listening to the Daly Dose every week. Thank you for the emails, for the texts, for the tweets. Thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel and giving us positive ratings. Thank you for reading the articles that we post over on DailyDoseSports.com. But more than anything else, I can tell you every week, thank you so much for sharing the show. We love it when you do that. And I'm hoping to keep this going as we move forward past this difficult time. Hey, I have to say thank you to JSP. Could not do any of this without you. I will see you all next Wednesday. Have a great week, everybody. Okay, YouTube, be sure that you do go over and you check out the rest of the podcast. This week on The Dose, I actually play an interview that I did with my dad back in 2018. My dad was a pretty good race car driver. We talk about some of the stories that he has in a very different, a very dangerous, a very wild time in auto racing here in the United States. I would encourage you to go check out the rest of the podcast and give that a listen. You will hear some wild, wild stories. I will leave a link for the rest of the podcast here on YouTube for you. Hope you all are doing well. I will see you all next Wednesday. Have a great week.